Hello everybody, welcome back to the YouTube channel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about former Jaguar Allen Robinson. We're going to touch on why or why not he should come back to the Jaguars, why or why not the Jaguars should want him back, and why it could make a lot of sense for him to rejoin the Jaguars after a relatively cold ending in the 2018 offseason. Now, to jump right into this, everybody knows who Allen Robinson is. He was that guy who came storming into the league in his second year in 2015 with an astonishing 1,400-yard season, 14 touchdowns, at a Pro Bowl nod at the ripe age of 22. Everybody thought he was on to stardom, and he had a decent 2016 season where he had about 900 yards, but then in 2017, injury struck him, and he tore his ACL on the first drive of the 2017 season. And after that, I don't know really what happened behind the scenes, but he ultimately got sour with the Jaguars. I personally believe that it was because of Blake Bortles as quarterback. He did not like Blake Bortles for obvious reasons. Bortles did not throw a pretty ball, and he probably felt that Bortles was holding him back from his potential, which honestly you can argue. I mean, Bortles was not terrible, but he was definitely no elite quarterback. What was peculiar to me is in 2018 he made the odd decision to go to Chicago, where now Mitchell Trubisky is a decent quarterback. Do not get me wrong, but he had the option to go to somebody like Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford. I believe Washington at that point with Kirk Cousins was in the race. Like, you have all these guys that he could have gone to who are, in my opinion, better quarterbacks for wide receivers than Mitchell Trubisky, because he left the Jaguars for a reason of poor quarterback play. That never made sense to me. And to this day, we'll probably never know why. But here is why I don't think he will come back. Because I don't believe that it went sour with the Jaguars. And I actually loved Allen Robinson when he was with us. I just think after he did his 4 years here, I don't feel like he wants to come back. I feel like he felt like this is not the place for him, and I respect that. Every player has their opinions, you know? Every player is entitled to their opinion, whether it's right or wrong. Now, do I think Allen would come back for the right price? Yes. But I believe the Jaguars should not re-sign him. I cannot see the Jaguars finding a way to pay him the money he deserves, which is probably going to be upwards of like 4 years, $60 million, somewhere in that ballpark is what I see for Allen Robinson. He's coming into his age 28 season, so he's still in the prime of his career, honestly. He's just getting towards that tail end. I mean, he could still have another 4 or 5 years of 1,000-yard seasons up his sleeve very easily, assuming he stays healthy, which he has throughout majority of his career. It's just he had that one ACL tear, obviously. But I can't see the Jags signing him to like a 4-year, $60 million deal, and then also paying DJ Chark. Because if Allen Robinson comes in here, he becomes the wide receiver 1, and Chark gets downgraded to wide receiver 2. And why would you pay your wide receiver 2 the same amount, if not more money, as your wide receiver 1? That, in my eyes, just does not make any sense at all for me, and I just can't see it being realistic. I mean, is it cool to think about a Trevor Lawrence, Allen Robinson, DJ Chark, Laviska Shenault, Keelan Cole, James Robinson offense? Is it cool to think about? Yes. It's a very interesting thought, and it could be a dynamic offense. But from a realistic business standpoint, I just can't see it happening. You're going to have to put too much guaranteed money on both of them, and it's just, you cannot put that much money into wide receivers, especially with these past couple drafts where we've hit pretty good on wide receivers between Shenault, Chark, all these guys. Now, you have to pay Chark. That's a given for the Jaguars. And that right there is why you really shouldn't go out and get a wide receiver, in my personal opinion. I think we should just pay Chark, make him our wide receiver 1, let Trevor show us his true potential that we've seen that he has, and go draft another wide receiver in one of these first 3 rounds of this next draft. Because this upcoming draft is insanely deep at wide receiver. I remember saying last year's draft was probably historical, and this year's draft is arguably better, which is just insane for me to think about. But back to the main topic of the video. Long story short, Allen Robinson will probably not have a return to the Jaguars. Is it feasible by the Jaguars? Yes. But I just don't see it happening. I don't think Allen wants to come back. I don't think the Jags are looking for a reunion. I don't think the money's right. I just don't think there's any true. I just don't think there's anything true behind this aside from fans just dreaming of him coming back. I would love for him to come back as a fan. I just don't think there's a real need for it. I don't think the Jaguars even want him back after what he did in 2017. I mean, the Jaguars were willing to pay him around the same money that the Bears gave him, but he basically said to the Jaguars, I don't want to play for you, and he left. I mean, that's what happened. We're not going to sugarcoat it. That's essentially what happened. We all know it. And it did turn me a little sour, Dennis Allen. I love him. I think he's a top 10 wide receiver in this league. He's in that 8 to 12 range for sure for me. I just don't think it's feasible for the Jaguars at this point, especially when we're technically in a rebuild. Now, once we get Trevor Lawrence, is it cool to think about an Allen Robinson, Chark, and Trevor Lawrence trio of just insane amount of deep balls and just so many big plays? Yes, it's really cool to think about. But again, I just don't think it's feasible, and I don't see the Jaguars doing it unless they find a way to somehow get Chark to take a wide receiver 2 level contract, which he honestly deserves more, as well as I don't think his agent would even pick up the phone if the Jaguars tried to do something like that. But overall, my final say on this is I do not think there's going to be a reunion. Would it be cool? Yes, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And without further ado, I'm going to say thank you for listening. If you're new, subscribe. If you enjoy the video, leave a like so more people see it. And as always, peace out, Duval.